On the 8th and 9th of December 2022, the 41st edition of the annual BAM Marketing Congress took place. The Belgian Association of Marketing, event organizer OFCORES, AdSomeNoise and Aluvision joined forces to meet with the most inspiring national and international marketing speakers for a fun chat. The result is 13 unique podcasts with fascinating marketing stories, useful tips and tricks, anecdotes, and so much more. In this episode, I welcome Claus Raasted, true marketing rockstar who is also advising at McKinsey. He's been called a mix of Lady Gaga, Thor, and Mick Jagger, so get ready for a fresh take on marketing innovation in uncertain times. You're in for a ride. Thank you, Claus. Thanks for being here, and thank you for your talk. It was very interesting, a bit provocative as well, and I think it's shaked up the audience a little bit, so that's always good. For this podcast, I first wanted to ask you, what's the funniest thing that you've been called? Because
I think I have on my website, I have a former partner and client who called me a cross between Lady Gaga, Mick Jagger, and Thor, and I think that's the funniest one I have. I'll stick by that.
So it's something like an entertainer then, or something like.
I think part of it is that there are some things I know something about, like legitimately have expertise in, and then there are some things I don't.
Yeah.
But one of the things I have some expertise in is, ironically, in how to be an expert.
Okay.
So learning about new stuff and delivering it in a way so that somebody understands it. I'm decent at that.
Okay. Well, it shows. And what are there some names that people call you that make you mad?
I think, tempting as it is to dive into absurd stories, I think it's better to say that one should always see it as a compliment when somebody calls you names, even if you didn't choose them yourself.
Okay. What if I would call you like an anarchist?
If you called me an anarchist, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't agree, but I'd say, why?
I think I know why you wouldn't agree, because anarchy asks for no rules, and you're talking about breaking the rules, so with no rules you cannot break them, right?
I think if you called me a disruptor, I would very much agree.
Okay. What if I would call you like a motivational coach?
I can live with that.
So there is no way I can make you mad, no?
There's plenty of ways, but I think we're not going to explore them in the studio
no.
Unless we get into a fist fight. But then that's going to be fun.
But it's not my intention to make you mad. To be clear, for the people who hear this, who haven't seen your talk, can you maybe summarize it very quickly? What's your main message that you want to deliver?
My main message for the talk given here was that there are 4 trends people should be aware of in marketing. One is marketing is moving towards more experience-based in general, no matter what it is you're doing. 2, the rules have changed. The rules just went out the window, not just for marketing, for everything in the last couple of years, and we need to be aware of that. Especially anything concerning data is no longer as powerful as it was because it doesn't work anymore.
Sure.
And 3, we've all just proven to ourselves and each other that we can change. Things that were impossible pre-pandemic now suddenly are just the norm. So if you want to change, you've never had a better time in all of human history than right now to do it. And 4, innovation happens at the edges. Innovation doesn't happen in the middle where we're comfortable or even where we're stressed out. It happens when we're really uncomfortable or very comfortable.
Yeah. So for a second trend, where you said things are happening so basically we didn't have a Y2K bug, but we had a Y2020 bug.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Excellent way of putting it. That there was a lot of talk in the IT industry about the Y2K problem. It didn't turn out to be that bad. We had Y2020 instead, and that was really bad.
Yeah. And it changed a lot of things, especially. And one of the other things that you are focused on is this innovation, indeed, and that innovation can at the edges, as you said. So especially with these black swans that are happening, like Corona now, it will be possible. And in your introduction, it's been talked about a level playing field. But is this really something that we want, a level playing field? Because
it depends on who we are, right? We're both white men of a certain age.
True.
Who were lucky enough to be born in rich countries where everything was nice, up to a certain degree. We don't want change, like we might want it personally, but on a structural level, we've got it pretty good. If I was from Nigeria, one of the powerful African economies just crashing ahead, full steam, that is moving forwards at lightning pace, or from the Middle East, or from China, I'd like change. So to me personally, as Klaus, I was born lucky. The world is my oyster, but I think it would be good with a bit of change.
Yeah, I agree, but what I actually mean, because I want change as well, because at least I want to change marketing. There is a lot that can be changed for the better. But what I really mean is a level playing field. Suppose you give every person in the world the same chances. You give them all the same amount of money. How long will it take?
That's not going to happen anyway. But what I mean by leveling the playing field is imagine tomorrow that every piece of communication internationally stopped being in English and started being in Hindu.
Okay.
Let's imagine that happened tomorrow. Yeah. Then the whole professional global expert class who speak what we're speaking now, English, nobody would understand us, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly, the people who spoke Hindu, everyone would understand them. That sort of thinking, that doesn't level the playing field totally, because now somebody else has the advantage, but it does shake it up a bit. And I think what's important to recognize is that we live in a world where things get shaken up more and more frequently than they did before. Where maybe there was once a big shake-up every 100 years, every 50, every 30. Now there's a big shake-up every 5 years, every 2. I don't even know where this is going, but I think what we need to get used to is being shaken up. And that means we need to be multidisciplinary, we need to be playful, we need to be innovative, we need to think about thinking in different ways, even while we're trying to amass expertise.
Yeah. So the theme of the Congress is very actual. Embrace uncertainty. It's also about finding chances, basically.
Yes, and by getting used to being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think one of the most powerful skills out there right now is being used to being uncomfortable. That doesn't make it comfortable, because that's different, but getting used to this, okay, I've been down this hole, I don't recognize it, but I climbed out of the last 10 holes, I'll probably get out of this one as well.
Yeah.
That's a super useful skill set, because there will be holes, and maybe they're not corona shaped, maybe there's something else, we don't even know. Is it AI? Is it war? Is it inflation? Is it famine? We have no idea.
The next thing, it's happening every day, something new indeed.
Yes.
So, and you also can enjoy this. You should try to enjoy this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get the best out of it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate for playfulness in general.
Yeah.
That if we play a bit more, experiment a bit more, have a bit more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all for that, but I can also imagine that the majority of the people will never be in that mindset and are kind of trapped in what's happening for them, politics, jobs, and so on and so on. It's good for us to say, like, do whatever you want and ask the right price for it, but people who are struggling to give their kids something to feed are probably not in this situation, I would say.
I agree up until a point, because when I say innovation happens at the edges, if you look at some of the poor populations on this planet, some of them are doing crazy innovations.
True.
Maybe not like Silicon Valley innovations, but they're doing innovation on a crazy scale. And if you look at, for example, big urban centers, Rio de Janeiro, for example, full of people who could use a bit more money, a bit better quality of living, they're innovating on a daily basis like crazy. Where those of us who are comfortable, we try to have tomorrow look like yesterday because yesterday was nice.
Yeah.
So I'd say that some of those who are worst off are doing what they can to change it, even though it's uncomfortable. The problem is the ones who are doing sort of okay, but still painful.
Yeah.
If it hurts a little every day, you're not going to change it. You're going to You're going to live with it.
Yeah.
If it hurts a lot, you're going to try to do something about it. If it hurts like hell, you're going to do everything you can to change it.
It's like living with a chronic back pain or something. Like
then you try to do something different, right?
Yeah.
And I think that in the world of marketing, I had a friend, and sadly he didn't get the buy-in of his leadership, but he was in charge of a 100 million euro marketing budget. And he said, we've had some fat years. We could do whatever we wanted. It was great.
Yeah.
He was feeling invulnerable. He was at that edge of the spectrum. And then he said he knew they were going to slash his budget by quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It would still be fine, but they were going to kill off quite a bit of his extra budget. And I said, why don't you go all the way? Why don't you tell them to slash it and then slash it 2 times more and use that money to make somebody else in the organization vulnerable? And he bought into that idea. He said, I'm going to go to them. I have a 100 million marketing budget right now. I'm going to go to them, and they say it's going to be 70. I'm going to say, give me 30. Because that forces me to think. 70 just stresses me out. 100 allowed me to take chances.
Yeah.
30 means I have to. 70 just leaves me in the middle. But his leadership didn't buy into it.
They didn't.
They did not, because they felt it was taking too big a risk. But he sat there and he said, it's crazy, but I see it. I'm going to try it.
He could have just hired you for like 50 millions or something.
That would have been nice, right? I could have suggested he used just 5 of those 40 that they saved on me.
But it's very interesting what you said, innovation. So, or you need a crisis, or you need to be invulnerable. That's basically the spectrum that
yes,
the edges, what you speak about, and how that you should create it for yourself. And this reminds me of the quote, and I'm not sure if you ever read the book because it's been 10 years ago, Velocity, from Ajas Azid and Stefan Hollander, I think. They had a quote in there which is stick to me as one of my favorite marketing quotes. We don't have any money, so we have to think, which is exactly what you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. Also about value adds, about value, like your book was a very, very good illustration of value. So you're not selling it on Amazon, you're selling it personally, and it's cost 500 plus euros. So I was going to ask you for one for free, but I saw you just handed out the last piece. So
you know what? I will send you the digital copy as a gift and a thank you. And on that book, for those curious out there, I did a book with a Croatian pricing expert on pricing expert services, and we priced it at 560 euros. And of course, people say we're mad.
Yeah, but I think it's not a mad strategy. It's
no. And we haven't sold many,
no,
but we've sold books, and we're going to sell more.
You've sold experiences.
And we've definitely sold experiences. And I think most of all, it's about breaking the shape.
Yeah.
As Philip says, it's not a book, it's a book-shaped pricing tool.
Yeah. Yeah, they introduced me to you by the story, so I knew it. So I didn't play along with the game. But they said to me, Klaus's theory is you're not paying for the book, you're paying for what's in there.
Of course.
For the knowledge. But isn't knowledge today, isn't that in abundance? Isn't there knowledge everywhere? So probably the things you're writing, you can find them in another version as well.
Yes.
So what makes a difference then?
Here, because this is not just knowledge, it's a very good point that knowledge is abundant, but this is knowledge wrapped into usability in a convincing way.
Yeah.
And knowledge is everywhere. Everywhere. You can find more or less anything you want to know. Somebody's written about it or blogged about it or podcast about it, but wrapped into convincing format.
Yeah.
It's not always there. And wrapped into a useful way of using it, that's not always there.
Yeah.
And we sincerely believe that with the book, we have the knowledge that others also have, but we've wrapped it in a way so people should be able to walk away with that book if they leaf through it and read some of it, some of the tips. They should walk away and it should make them a lot more than that 560 euros.
Yeah. I think the price tag is part of this format, of this experience, because it gives you like a mandate to do something with it. You must do something with it. If you pay so much for a book,
you must do something, right? You're committed to using it. And it's I sometimes get asked by people because my website says I charge €1,000 an hour, which
I've
do.
seen that. Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
You're not going to charge me for this.
Interview is double. No. No, but what it is that it means I never get asked to do boring things. Because who would hire somebody at €1,000 an hour to do something boring? It's not that I couldn't clean a toilet. I've cleaned plenty of toilets. I do that when we run our own events. I sometimes do that. But when I'm working for somebody else, the high price tag means they're never going to hire me unless they want something they couldn't get cheaper, because then they would choose that. So they hire me to do stuff that they don't know what it is. I usually get hired by people who say, we want something, but we don't know what that something looks like.
Yeah.
And then it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Where if you just get hired as a pair of hands, like you're a podcast host. If I come in and I tell you, I'd like you to ask me these questions and provide this conversation, then I'm not interested, right? Where I come in and you pull out your expertise. And I can't just change that. I can't just swap you with some other host, because then it's going to be completely different. And likewise, you can't swap me with somebody else. You could, of course, but then it's going to be a different conversation.
True, but let's be clear. This is not my day job. This is the first time I'm doing this.
It doesn't matter, right?
But I understand,
And it means that also for both of us, right now, I'm not Klaus. I'm just a guest. So I could be swapped, right? It would be different, but you could swap me for anyone, because you don't need me. You just need a guest.
Yeah.
Just like since you're new, they're not having this radio host, the voice that amazed millions, blah, blah, blah. You're just a host. So right now, none of us are in an expert position, which means that if we go out and try to charge even €50 for this, people are just going to laugh at us.
Okay.
So none of us are getting paid for this right now. Right?
No. Yeah. True.
So we should do stuff where we're experts. And when that's paid, we can do the fun stuff.
Or things that we enjoy, because I enjoy this.
And so do I, but we can only do that because of abundance. We can only do that because we have the time.
Because we don't need to.
Because we don't need to spend 100% of our time working to pay the bills, which means we can do weird stuff like fool around on a podcast and have fun. But we couldn't do that unless we had enough money, resources, time from our regular jobs that we had the time for this.
Yeah.
And I love getting to do stuff like this.
Well, it's all makeable, eh? You can make your own life and give it a direction.
You can try at least, right?
You can try it. Maybe one last thing, so you basically thanked Dan, so one of the guys who helps organize this conference, you put him on stage, said let's give him the applause he deserves. And I think it was beautiful. At the same time, I was wondering, is this something that Dan really enjoys?
I don't know, to be honest. I hope he does. I know that Dan, the social construct, Dan, the human mind, may have liked it, may have not, because that's Dan.
Yeah.
I know that Dan, the biological being, likes it a lot.
He likes it, yeah.
Yeah, but that's Dan biology.
Yeah.
And maybe Dan will come over to me tomorrow and say, Klaus, that thing you did where you put me on stage, never do it again. I have a knife and I'm ready to use it. I hope he doesn't, but he might. But that's how it is every time you surprise somebody.
But I think it's very good to do it because, as you said, you give something to the audience by thanking somebody. It's this thanking economy thing. By thanking somebody, you feel good by yourselves, and I did feel good by myself. I was just wondering, like, there is also this differentiation. Not everybody is built to be on stage,
sure.
I would say.
And not everybody enjoys it. And as with many things, there's a thin line between surprise and being gentle and kind and doing stuff that's stupid. Yeah. If I got 5 times out of 5 got the reaction that people came up and said, never do that again, then I'd probably not do that.
Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit because even if he didn't like it, he took it as a man, and it's all fine. So it's not something bad, but it's just for me this.
But it's worth being aware of. Yeah, I agree.
It's this classification, like what's my goal in this world? What do I like? And this is also something that made me think when I saw this. Like I think it's also very, very important to understand for yourselves what makes you happy, basically, or where your challenge lies, or what you want to do. And Dan is probably somebody who wants you to be a king on stage and not be the king himself or something. But anyway, it's a interesting shared experience that we had with the full audience. As was your full talk, you didn't have any slides, which I always like. The only problem was the 4 trends. I had some difficulty to.
Would have been nice to have them on. Yeah.
Well, not even. You mentioned them here now, so people will be able to find them afterwards. So, thank you very much, Claus. I hope you enjoy Belgium. And sorry, this interview is in English, but my Danish is a little bit rusty. So
better than my Flemish or my Dutch or my French.
The languages resemble a little bit, you know.
It would get around with reading some of it. It makes it easier to get around, but talking it.
Ik wil drinken öl.
See. But that's fake Danish, not Belgian.
Oh, it's yeah. Anyway, thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Enjoy your stay.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on.
Did you enjoy this episode? Leave your opinion on LinkedIn with the hashtag BOM_Marketing_Congress and let's continue the discussion. Stay up to date with other BOM news through marketing.be and keep December 7th and 8th, 2023 open in your calendar for the 42nd edition of the BOM Marketing Congress. See you there.